Hi, everyone. This is the Love and Money Podcast, and today I'm going to talk about President Biden's plan to cancel student loan debt. This is an update. So, what the update is there is no plan to cancel student loan debt, and he basically lied just to get into the White House. So that's your update. So, if you remember, way back when he was running for president, he promised to eliminate $10,000 of student loan debt per person. So, has any of your student loan debt been eliminated? The answer is no. So, anyway, over in the White House, Senator Elizabeth Warren is still pushing for it, and she is still trying to raise that to 50,000. There's also another person in the White House named Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is pushing President Biden to use his executive authority to cancel $50,000 per person in student loan debt. So basically, President Biden is not listening. This is not even on his plate for discussion. Meanwhile, he has these two women after him trying to get him to do something that he has no intention of doing. That's $50,000 per person student loan debt. So there was a study done by Roosevelt Institute. And by this study, what they concluded is that if they did cancel student loan debt, that this would increase Black wealth by 40%. This is according to their study. Um, According to their study, Blacks have the most student loan debt of any other race. And this is because wealthy people do not use student loans. They have the money and they send their kids to college. They are paying for their kids to go to college. Of course, some of the kids work, but because they are wealthy, they have no need to use student loans. On the other hand, um, Blacks or African Americans are the highest users of student loans. In addition to that, we go to school more. We're the ones that have the doctorate degrees, the master's degrees, and we also have the student loan debt. So, anyway, this study concludes that in the event that student loans are canceled, that it will increase wealth for African Americans by 40%. So Jen Psaki over at the White House told reporters that President Biden is willing to cancel $10,000 of student loan debt per person on the condition that Congress actually sends them a bill. So President Biden is waiting for Congress to send them a bill. And Congress has not sent them a bill. It's been months. So the first step would be Congress putting the bill together. The second step would be President Biden signing it. And he's only willing to sign $10,000, but he is willing to sign 10,000. So he has the authority to use the executive order, but he's not going to do anything unless Congress actually sends them a bill, and Congress is not sending them a bill. And so this is where we are at with student loan, the whole student loan cancellation program. Um, so this study has concluded that African Americans graduate with more debt, and also that African Americans hold 7 times less wealth than white people. So we know that this is because of the 400 years of slavery. This is the reason why there is a racial wealth gap in the first place is slavery. In case you don't know that, this wealth was stolen. So that is why we have a racial wealth gap in the first place. Slavery, we are recovering from trauma, trauma in all areas, from wealth to uh, colorism to any other thing that you can think of. It all stems from slavery. So, back to what I'm talking about with student loans and the difference in the wealth gap. Um, Wealth is deeply tied to systematic racism. And so, if you don't understand how systematic racism works, I'm just going to give you a few examples. This is all encompassing. It's very strategic, it's very strategized. Some people like to pretend that it's not that it doesn't exist, and some people are not affected by it, so they like to walk around blind. So I'm just going to give you a few examples of systematic racism and how it works and why it is important as it pertains to wealth. So one example is the hiring process. We like to pretend that some groups of people are lazy. Maybe you'll see them standing around on corners, not doing anything. Well, how systematic racism ties in is that they won't hire you. So, generally, the people that are in the position to hire, they are whites. So, they're going to prefer people who look like them, who are similar to them. So, that's the first step. They won't hire you. Second step, if you do happen to get in, they won't promote you. So, first of all, they won't hire you. They're hiring people who look like them, who resemble them. They're hiring their friends. They're hiring their family members. There's nepotism, all type of nepotism going on. Second is that they will not promote you if you do get in. They will not promote you. So the kind of thing that you'll experience in the workplace is, say you've been on a job for 9 years. So someone comes in, they've been there 1 year. Next thing you know, they're promoted over you. And who knows? They may even be your boss. They're your boss now. So that is just one example of systematic racism and how it works. And then if you do decide to take this to court, people like to pretend that um, discrimination is really hard to prove. Like the whole world can see it, but for some reason the court system can't see it. It's hard to prove. So anyway, I'm going to get back to wealth. I'm talking about the racial wealth gap. And the reason why I'm speaking of the gap is because African Americans have more student loan debt than other races. And President Biden is not planning to cancel student loans. So if that's something that you're waiting on, you can stop waiting. I think most people could figure out that he lied just to get into office. Meanwhile, you still have senators and representatives still pushing for loan forgiveness, loan cancellation. They're still in the White House, still pushing for it. They're still trying to increase the limit from 10,000 to 50,000. So they have not given up as far as being a pest to the president. So that is what is going on in the White House. And then how the student loan debt tends to affect people is it tends to slow people down in the process of wealth accumulation. And that could be anywhere from buying homes to starting businesses to investing. Because in order to buy homes or in order to invest, the first step is that you need to have a job. And in order to have a job, you need to get hired. The other thing is that a lot of people are not familiar with the whole starting your own business. Like we are all conditioned to go to school, get a good education, get a job. But eventually we need to change that programming. Like it's nothing wrong with going to school. I completely agree with going to school and getting education because that's something that nobody could ever take away from you once you have it. However, the missing component is starting your business. We're all programmed to go to school, get a job, but the way to build wealth is to start your business. So that component is missing. So, as far as building wealth, the building wealth components are buying homes, starting businesses, investing. So, this is where we're at with the update on President Biden and his plan to cancel student loan debt. So, this is a Love and Money podcast. If you like this podcast, please share it with one other person. And thank you for listening.